Chad, I'd like to start at the beginning with John Wick Chapter 4, because you and Keanu have a history that goes back much further than this franchise. You guys work together a ton. By this point in your relationship with Keanu, how is he evolving as a collaborator, and what kind of input is he having on the arc he wants to see for the character?
Good question. Like, I think I've known Keanu like 26 years. Something. The first Matrix was 96, so somewhere in there. As far as the John Wicks go, which has really been our closest, I guess it's the only time we've collaborated through that. Most of the time we're just working together. But look, when I first started as a first-time director, like you come in thinking you know everything. You do not. I had a good deal of second unit directing experience, but you come in, you're a little lost sometimes when you deal with the story arcs and the character pacing, all these things that you don't have to deal with in action directing. And Keanu was quite the mentor about not just the technical or the craftsmanship aspect, but also the business side and the creative side. And he was very patient and very understanding. And again, you know the amount of trust you have to be someone like Keanu Reeves at that point in your career and coming to a first-time guy who you kind of know, but you don't really know if he can direct. You know, you think he can, but you don't know. You don't know until it happens. To have that kind of trust and then build a franchise with somebody or build a property that we want to stay to. Like, we never thought it was going to be a franchise. We never thought it'd be any more than 1, than 2, than 3. But to have that want to keep creating something, like regardless of a personal or a professional relationship, but you know you have that creative relationship where like it satisfies you to create with this individual. And we're just in a spot where we have many of those people in our little John Wick family that we feel we can create with.
And I mean, this movie, it feels like with this franchise alone, you just keep bringing in, checking off lists of dream people to work with. And in this one,
we have a long list.
And that also means reunions, but also I think people you're working with for the first time. I mean,
he's
Hiro
great.
Sanada and Rina Samayawa and Donnie Yen, I mean, they bring their own flavors to this film, which means...
And Scott Adkins and Marco Zaror and Shamir Anderson, all people that I've bumped into over the years and I really want to have in a movie.
Absolutely. And I mean, these people, some of these people, it's their first time doing action sequences like this. Sometimes it's people who are veterans at combat sequences like that. Can you talk about bringing new people to the fold and helping them raise the bar, and you guys raise the bar, and I mean, it just stays up there for the John Wick franchise?
We have a little bit of a benefit now. We're number 4. Okay, so like John Wick seems to be out there enough to know that, you know, there's been enough interviews and behind the scenes to know that maybe the director's a little out of his mind with his expectations and how hard he pushes somebody. You get the nice guy and the one trying to be nice in interviews, but on set I can be a little bit stoic and, okay, we're gonna do this, so this is where you start. But we have that little bit of, I think in a good way, that reputation that like we care. We try to care more than everybody else. Like, we pay attention to detail. We want the best out of it. It's not just some gag where we're trying to be hard with training or something like that. We want your best day, and to prove that we want your best day, we're gonna do our best day. And we're not gonna let you down. So you give me everything you got, I'm gonna give you everything I got plus 10, and I promise we're not gonna quit on you. We're gonna make this work. That's the attitude we try to project. So I think that attracts people that wanna be pushed or that wanna try their best or try something new, and that love making film. You can feel when you walk onto a John Wick set that we, almost insanely so, love what we do. And if you can get that motivation and that inspiration to somebody, you're going to get the best they can do. And that's always been our milieu in that. So we try to lead with that, and you usually get very good results.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the results are fantastic, so it all makes sense. You mentioned Scott Adkins. That middle sequence of the film is brilliant. And the gambling scene, I mean, I know sometimes a trick is to have the kind of the musical composition have some ticking to it, like a clock is going by and it gets faster. You also had a fan going by and casting a shadow and everything.
Casablanca.
Yeah, and I mean, it's this character that if you push it a little too far, it could be cartoonish.
Yep.
But you keep it just grounded enough, and you have all this tension building. I'd love to hear about how you feel like you masterfully just got that tension built with these 3 guys at the table and a guy who becomes a common enemy.
Again, getting everybody on the same page of what you're trying to get. Like, there's the beat track of the club down below. It's like sensory. I'm big into, like, you can tell in all the sequences, there's always a sound element, there's always a visual element, there's always a color element. And we just hold true to all our details, so there's always a thump track, like a heartbeat is what we got the 4/4 time going. And then each hand is an escalation, and it's all subtext, right? Like, what are they really trying to jockey through? You trying to say, what are you really trying to say, and what you're saying are 2 different things. I've always wanted to work with Scott. I've known Scott forever. I think he's a phenomenal cast member and martial art performer. He's fantastic. But he's also one of the best looking dudes I've ever So like I'm like, you can be, I gotta be in a John Wick. I'm like, you should do, but I got an idea. And I called him back. Our schedules didn't work out on number 3, but he was actually, we both wanted to work together on number 3. And our schedules worked out. I was like, you got to put me in 4. I'm like, you got to be in number 4. We're going to make it work. And I was like, but it's not in the way you think. I got an idea. And he's like, I'm into anything. I'm like, you say that, but I have an idea. And I pitched him the character of Killer and how I want him to look and move and what the whole scene was. And I want you to carry the scene out. And this is 7 pages of dialogue. You're going to carry the scene. You're going to inform the audience of this whole other world. You're going to talk about John, and you're going to bring my 3 characters that haven't met yet together. I'm going to be John, Kane, and Tracker. We're going to put them all together, and you're going to carry it. And you're going to everything.
Yeah.
And he just smiled. He's like, I'm in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, he got it. He knew what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
Keanu, Donnie, Schmidt, they all got their little pieces of the scene, and that's why they're so. That's the Butch and Sundance card game.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like,
Oh, that was so good. Scott's character, Lance Reddick's character, and presumably Keanu's character, all are characters who seem to be meeting demises in John Wick Chapter 4. Can you talk about some of the decisions that went into it? And I have a little tinfoil hat on. I know it might be a little too tight, but is John really gone?
First question. Look, we didn't start at the beginning and go, we got to kill somebody. You know, we're not trying to just. I think Game of Thrones did it well. Like everyone thought they were just killing people to be shocking. I thought they took storylines to the conclusion, and if you didn't do things like that, it would kind of tease the audience in the wrong way. And now you're just fucking with me. You're like, okay, like really, we're gonna do this, and you're just gonna keep doing this endless. So look, there's got to be the end of the timeline somewhere. There's got to be full certainty. There needs some of that, and. I love Lance. I love Keanu. I love I love the puppy. So you have to disconnect yourself from the cast member, from the storyline, or the characters you love, and you go, okay, what's best for the overall movie? And look, we do wacky experiments in editing. Like I'll cut that scene out and goes, what happens if Sharon didn't die? What happens if we do this? What happens if we don't do this here? And you do the false negative. You do it with it, you do it without. You show some people that have never seen it, and they're like, but then you show them the sequence with the demise, and they're like, oh my God, I felt so much stuff. Like, I'm trying to take you on a ride. It's my job as a storyteller to hit you below the belt sometimes, and sometimes to lift your chin up just to knock you back down, just like I do in John Wick. It's hard to make a movie with a thematic of consequence and never show consequence, and that's kind of how we came to the decisions that we do. You don't think that on the first movie we had every exec out there trying to get us to take out the puppy scene? Like, are you kidding? Like, everyone that was involved tried to get us to cut the puppy scene. I'm like, if I cut that scene, we're never going to get what we want here. And that's just the attitude we took. As far as the John Wick conundrum, look, we've always looked at it as duality. There's John Wick. So you tell me who lives, who dies.
I saw that dog look up. I was like, oh, that dog knows something. That dog knows something.
Could be. Or maybe he saw a squirrel. I don't know.
Hey, maybe he did. Maybe it's a shiny red ball. And the movie ends with a tease of possibly something to come after the credits.
John Wick, no one gets a free ride.
Yeah, exactly.
No one gets out.
I thought the character of Akira was incredible as well.
She's awesome.
So
right? Her first movie debut.
I know. What a incredible job she did.
I found her off a YouTube video.
Unbelievable.
Just didn't know anything about her. I just loved the way she moved.
So I have to ask, what are you hoping to set up with that little tease at the very end?
If there's any chance to work with Brina and Donnie again, I'd jump at it. It'd be awesome.
I'll be first one to buy tickets.
Yeah, right on.
Chad, absolute pleasure to talk with you, man.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much
Thanks.
for the time.